By show of hands, how many of us have ever been on a trip that didn't quite go according to plan? Yeah, that's what I thought. Personally, I've been on a lot of trips, both internationally and within this country, and I've acquired some tips on what to do and what not to do in certain situations. As college students, we're bound to travel at some point, whether it's to go home during special occasions like Christmas or Thanksgiving, or just on your average road trip with a bunch of friends. According to statistics, studenttravelstatistics.com, these are the following places where students like us go the most. 39% of us go to Europe, 26% go to Australia, and 14.6% go to Asia. So at some point, we'll all have to face it. This speech is a guide on how to make your traveling experience as successful as it can possibly be. I will do this by talking about the kind of preparation that needs to go into a trip before, during, and after. Okay, to start off, you need to ask yourself the 5 W's. Number 1, where are you going? Number 2, when do you plan to go? Number 3, what mode of transportation are you using? Number 4, who are you going with? Is it a family affair? Are you going alone? And number 5, why are you going? What is the occasion? After these 5 W's have been established, you can start planning your trip, keeping in mind the location and making that the focus of your trip. Okay. Firstly, map out a cost and a basic budget of how much this is going to cost you, not forgetting any shopping that you might do or any money that you might spend whilst on your trip. Secondly, make a prerequisite list before you leave. For example, decide what mode of transportation you're taking, which one you can afford. It's best to check out the weather situations where you are going. For example, if you're driving home in weather like this, it's probably best to take an emergency kit or a toolkit just in case. These tips are from Cecile's traveltips.com. If you're going abroad, make sure to update your travel documents and to notify your health insurance companies and your credit card companies just so that you don't get into any misunderstandings. Make copies of these travel documents just in case you misplace anything. It says Dan Carelli from 10greattraveltips.com. And if you have any prescription medication, make sure that it's on hand with you just to maximize your comfort. There are steps during the trip that you can take to maximize your comfort as well. For example, have the trip back in the back of your mind at all times. For example, keep track of where you put your stuff, your ID, your passport, any kind of travel documents, so that you don't have any last-minute delays or worries before your departure. Secondly, plan ahead to the departure in terms of finance. Make sure you can afford the trip back home, because no one wants to be stranded anywhere where they're not familiar with. Also, consider the kind of luggage that you take, because none of us like paying additional fees for suitcases. I know I hate it. Okay, so now you have had a successful trip, but you're not quite done yet. When you're back in the comfort of your own home, make sure you start unpacking right away so that you make sure you brought back with you everything that you took, and if you left anything behind, you can know right away so you can get it back. And secondly, make sure you know where you put your stuff back so that the process can be easier if you want to travel again. Now that you've heard all my tips and techniques on how to travel and do it right, well, firstly, I told you how to prepare for your trip. Secondly, what you can do whilst on your trip, and third, what you can do when you return home. Now that you have acquired these trip tips, you'll have a good experience, and I guarantee no bad experiences like I've had. Have a safe journey.